Hi everyone, this is actually my second take of doing this because I went off on a tangent in the last video and honestly, I couldn't get through this video without laughing because the shit was just ridiculous. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, alright, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background before I do this. Now, I'm going to read you some emails. If you haven't looked at my Facebook or haven't had the opportunity to look at my latest Facebook status, then I'm making this video for you guys. I'm also making the video for those of you who are too lazy to look at the evidence. Don't worry, everybody does it. Everybody skips the fucking photo evidence. That's why the only reason I have it up there is to have the evidence up there. Like, nobody's looking at that shit, and nobody's gonna be watching all the long stuff that I'm, the only people who watch the long posts, the long statuses that I post are the gang stalkers. The rest of you ain't watching that shit. So this is for you guys. Okay? Now, I've written to my landlords about this particular issue, and I've also written to the Brighton Independent Mediation Service. Long story short, I've had some vials in my pocket, and the little girl from upstairs saw the vials and basically went around saying that there was period blood in the vials. Now, if you're thinking that this is not a big deal, you're right, it isn't. It isn't. Regardless of what's in the vials, it could be juice, it could be blood, it could be ketchup. Like, it ain't nobody knows. Nobody knows. It could be like fucking, I don't know, like vinegar with some food dye in it. I don't know. I don't know how these things work, but like, it could even be crushed up fruit or something. But like, regardless of what's in the vials, if it's the worst case scenario and it's my own blood in those vials, it's not a big deal. It's slightly gross, but it's not a big deal. The big deal is in how this was framed, because before I came out and said that I was going to be offering my services for manifestation work, before that came out, I believe the angle that they were going to go with was that I was a blood witch that was going to hex them. They wouldn't use the term blood witch. They don't know enough about the occult to do that. So they were going to go down the angle that I was a blood witch that was hexing them somehow. And even then, they would have contradicted themselves. But that's for another story. So I believe that's the angle that they were going to go with. So the child was saying that I was carrying period vials around in my bag or whatever. And again, if I was doing that, it wouldn't really be a big deal. It's not a big deal. The deal was how they were going to play that, because the child said that, and then what the mother was going to do was going to say, well, we'll turn around and say she's using her magic for evil. That would have been a lot more serious. If you'd have turned around and said that I had blood in my vials, and you said I was using those vials to hex families, then that would have been a lot more serious than me just carrying the vials. But yeah, I'm gonna read you these emails and then go into a bit more detail about that situation. So this is what I've written. So first of all, I wrote to my landlords because I needed to check if there were any arrears with my rent. So I said, please ask the landlords if I'm in arrears or credit for rent, and if so, by how much. Also, please be aware that I will be contacting the Brighton Independent Mediation Service again regarding the upstairs family, as new information has been brought to my attention that is highly concerning. I will forward the email to you and them in due course to give further details in the near future. And the representative wrote back, sorry, you're having problems with your neighbours. Hopefully mediation will solve this. They're so full of shit. They've been literally covering up crimes to help the neighbours. And yet as soon as things get a little bit too hot, they want to distance themselves. They're full of shit. We've emailed the owners to confirm your rent status, as we don't deal with this side. Bitch, I know. Do you seriously think I would have... These people, Jesus Christ. Like, do these people seriously think I would be contacting them if the landlords haven't blocked me? Idiot. She said, we will wait for the landlords to reply. Okay, I said, thank you. Now, I'm going to get into the email that I have sent the mediation service, the latest emails that I've sent them. And I'm going to, because the thing is, I've forwarded this to the representatives for the landlords as well. So I said, hello, is Miss Fabienne Deacon again from Woodingdean in Brighton. I've contacted both yourselves and the relocation agents responsible for my tenancy with regards to the now almost 3-year campaign of harassment by this family, and I have heard no response. Nevertheless, I provide an update so that no one can say I didn't make complaints. The situation hasn't necessarily escalated so much as the attempts to court my attention negatively are still ongoing. Through a child gossiping to a parent coming out of a co-op I frequently go to, I've been hearing rumblings about me carrying period blood in as vials in my pocket. Okay. Allow me to explain. I study the occult frequently and practice it regularly, so it's not actually the rumors of what I carry in my pocket that bothers me. What bothers me is how a person of 8 years old, going on 9, surrounded by a family with middling at best intellect, who have constantly made racial slurs in the past, and who have previously loudly shouted through the wall at me that karma was a load of rubbish, suddenly experts on what kind of blood a person carries, if they're carrying any blood at all. Again, you've got an 8 or 9-year-old girl who suddenly has become a hematology expert or an expert on what kind of blood somebody's carrying. Excuse me? And considering what kind of family this motherfucker comes from, absolutely not. Absolutely not, bro. And I know what I call the child. But they're a mofo. They are a mofo. That whole family are mofos. Okay? Now, if you knew anything about Woodingdean and most of the people who live here... Now, this is where I got to apologise to Woodingdean as a whole, because... like, I was really on some smoke when I was talking, but I'm not talking about most of Woodingdean. I'm talking about this particular family and the people that they hang around. So it's not most of Woodingdean. I really need to take that back. If you knew anything about Woodingdean and most of the people who live here, if any of them are like me, they're not talking about it. They usually talk about soaps and what other people are doing. Which leads me to believe that, A, they've been watching my social media and spreading rumours and information based on that, shaping the context around the ignorance of the people they hang with. That's true, that's what they like to do. And given that I've discussed several alleged crimes they've committed in trying to negatively get my attention, and yet I am the one that has contacted yourselves and not them, remember, I'm the one contacting independent media service and not them. I'm not trying to traffic these people. I want to actually confront them about the social media that they've been stalking. So I find this extremely telling. It's also telling that a supposed confession, rather than me just detailing information, is the one that them and their friends choose to fixate on. So them and their friends are choosing to fixate on the period blood vials, which is not that big a fucking deal, and yet trafficking somebody, engaging in psychiatric abuse against a person because they're not giving you the response that you want, that's not a big deal though. That's not a big deal. Breaking into somebody's house and running up £400 worth of fucking electric, that's not a big deal though. Like, come the fuck on. So that's A, that I've written down there. B, the children have been spying on my activities every time I visit the bathroom, which they actually do, and I've done for the last 2.5 years. They will listen to non-verbal cues to ascertain whether I'm on my cycle, to determine whether or not I'm using this for magic rituals. This is sometimes at the behest of their mother, sometimes of their own accord, to feel assured that I'm not performing curses or hexes on them. Unfortunately, absolutely none of this is a joke, as on Christmas Eve 2022, Ambulance services were called on me by the family, alleging that my mental health was spiraling when really I was just doing a small ritual in my flat. Now, all of this is true. All of this is true. Because there was one time where I had to go to the shop and come back. I had to go to the shop and come back. Whilst I went to the shop and come back, one of these neighbours had entered my flat, broken into my flat. I think they have a key, right? And they were looking at the candles to see if there were any blood on them. So this is absolutely true. This is stuff that they've been doing for like the last year or so. They like to do things like that. But the reason behind this is so that, no, you know what? I'm not going to try to make their behavior look less crazy. It's fucking crazy. I'm not going to legitimize that shit. Let's continue. The email goes on that I've written. The email goes on, that's how afraid they are of myself and the consequences of their behavior. Even though the police have been turning a blind eye to their behavior, my landlords have been sweeping it under the rug and yourselves have been ignoring me. I have to wonder what they have been doing to me in my home that have made them so afraid of me when technically I am in no position to do anything practically unless they have something to hide. As for me, I've done my level best to focus on trying to turn my hobby into a viable business so that I am no longer dependent on benefits and supporting my family through difficult times, including another recent bereavement this month involving the loss of my grandfather. And because I haven't been spiraling mentally or behaving in ways that will allow this family to facilitate psychiatric abuse, or let's call it trafficking, let's call the shit what it is, they have been resorting to hitting me where it hurts, though again, all I have done is prove community corroding corruption is on a wider scale here. Alliteration flow. Let's go. So I do look forward to your next reply. I assure you that I will not take it personally should you choose not to reply again, as I will keep you updated on anything important. This is my phone number should you need to talk to me directly. I made some typos at the end because my vision was going out of focus. So that was the email that I sent to them. And yeah, just from that one insignificant, do you see from that one insignificant thing about a vial and what could be in that vial? You see how one significant thing, it unravels every single other thing around gang stalking? Pay attention to the details, because they like to pay attention to details to try and get a rise out of you. You got to do the same thing in a bid to kind of, you've got to really pay attention to the details that they focus in on and unpack them. That's what you've really got to do. You've really got to focus in on the details and unpack them. Because what the fuck is your dumb racist ass doing talking about personal effects and period blood in vials? What the fuck do you know about that? What do you know about that unless you've been watching my social media, unless you've been watching what I do? What the fuck would you know? What the fuck would you know? And half the people that you hang around don't even believe in this shit. So what the fuck would you know? Unless you've been watching the same social media that had testimonies of your alleged crimes on them. This is what I'm saying. These people don't learn their lesson. And this is the thing with narcissists, right? I did say to you guys, a narcissist never quits. I did say this to you guys. A narcissist never quits. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it doesn't matter how much you kick their fucking ass. It doesn't matter how many times you outsmart them. It doesn't matter how many times you expose them. They still think that you are stupider than they are. It doesn't matter. A lot of people say, you know, when it comes to narcissists and relationships, you can't go back to a narcissist. Like if you go no contact and then you break the no contact, that, you know, then they think you're stupid. No, that narcissists are going to think you're stupid anyway. Now, I'm not saying you should break no contact. I'm not saying you should do that. But what I am saying is that it doesn't matter what the situation is. Narcissists are always going to think that you are stupider than they are. It does, again, it does not matter how much you outsmart them, how much you out argue them, how much you know or don't know. They're always going to think they're smarter than you. And they're always going to think that every single thing that's possibly unique about you or different about you or unusual about you is a gotcha moment. Even when you whoop their ass over and over again, it doesn't matter. They're always going to think that you're dumber than them. It does not matter. They have a really, really skewed understanding of their own intelligence. And they're always going to have that. They're always going to have that. It doesn't matter. I could outsmart these people 1,000 times. That, like, they legitimately think I'm dumber than them. You heard the amount of time that they called me a dumb N-word? They're the dumb ones. And yet they're always going to call me dumb because, like, low-key, they believe that I'm stupider than they are. They might cognitively acknowledge that I'm intelligent. They might cognitively acknowledge that they don't really have anything on me. They might cognitively acknowledge that, but deep down, they don't feel that. They don't feel that. Like, they act like every single idea that they have against me is going to work, even though literally every single idea they've ever had against me has never worked. Never. And this whole period blood thing, oh my God. If they want to think I'm carrying period blood in my vials, let them think that. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Let them think that. Because then they have to explain where the fuck they get their information from. Because there's no way they didn't get their information through spying on me in some way and then putting their own theories together. So let them talk. They're just exposing themselves. That's why, like, when I first heard about that, I said nothing. Because it's like, what are they really revealing except their own crimes? Again. So I complained to the independent mediation service. Really, it's just to smoke the perps out. Now, it might result in, like, the landlords trying to engage in no-fault eviction or something like that, or call mental health services again to ensure that I can move out without much fuss. Like, they might try to do that, you know, but it won't matter. Like, with me complaining to the authorities, it's not so that I can actually get consequences for what's been done to me. It's so that I can smoke the motherfuckers out. And that they are forced, if they want to talk to me, if they're going to talk to me, they're forced to talk to me about what they've been spying on me with. They're forced to talk to me about what's really going on. That's why I use the authorities. To smoke everybody the fuck out. That's what I use them for. Police ain't about to do shit. Nobody's about to do shit. But I'ma do shit. I'ma smoke the motherfuckers out. Why do you think no mental health person has been around there? Because I know I'm going to start recording. I told him, you come in my fucking domain, I'm recording. I'm recording and making sure everybody knows every single piece of your corruption. That's why nobody's been here. And when I complain to authorities, I am smoking the authorities out. My relocation agents, I'm smoking them out. My landlords, I'm smoking them out. The council, smoking them out. That's what I do with this information. I smoke them out. Because at the end of the day, if I'm diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic, that affects my admissibility in court. It's affected the admissibility of several other people. So let them be subject to the court of public opinion. And only somebody who is hell-bent on deluding themselves is going to deny what's going on. It's a kind of magic. Okay, speaking of which. Speaking of which. Listen. My fellow TIs. Empress Justice Tarot is going to be changing in August, like I said before. I am going to be offering 25% off all psychic readings for anyone who's interested. But I will not just be offering 25% off psychic readings. I will also be offering 25% off magical workings and magical rituals for you. Okay? Now, the magical rituals are expensive, like I said before. And not everybody's case will be accepted. Because there is a lot of there's a lot that comes with doing a trade of this nature. There's a lot that comes with doing magic. So as much as I love magic and as much as I love doing it, I am aware of the karmic consequences of involving another person into it. So not all cases will be accepted, because I'm trying to do as much good for the TI community as possible. And in order for me to do that, I have to be very careful about the clients that I take on. And not just TIs, any clients. But yes, I'm going to be offering magical workings for a fee as well. Okay? Magical workings for a fee and divination for a fee. I'm going to be offering those things for a fee. Starting with August. 25% off for all targeted individuals. If there are any TIs out there that don't agree with magic or don't agree with the occult, I'm not even going to bother arguing with you. Your comment is going to be removed. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with people who don't know my life, don't know how much magic has helped me and other people who've practiced it. I don't have time. I'm not going to debate with you. So that is for anyone who's interested, any TI who's interested. I'm offering 25% off, not only online readings, but also magical workings. It's going to start with like a consultation and it's going to start with a consultation first and a divination thing. Consultation and divination, that's £111. Because you get more than an hour's reading. You also get consultation as to what kind of magic you want to do and why you want to do it. And that acts as a deposit. And once I've decided whether or not to take on your case, if I decide to take on your case, then the rest is paid in order for me to perform the rituals. Do you understand? So, yeah. That's the service that I'm offering. From August. August is going to be a big month. So, yeah. Is there anything else I need to say? I'm going to upload details of the magical working stuff because I didn't upload details last time. So I'm going to upload details now. The description is going to be hella long. Okay? So if you're okay with that, that's fine. But you can't say the details weren't there in the description if you find yourself lost, okay? Now I've got to go. My beautiful fellow TIs, if you made it this far, please let me know how you guys are doing. And again, anything to do with the magic or the occult that you disagree with, keep it to yourself. I don't need to hear it. You don't know my life, I don't know yours. Be respectful. Okay? Take care. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye, my darlings.